Welcome back to Truth Moment. Welcome back to Truth Moment. I'm your host, Tiara Pritchett. This episode of Truth Moment is unlike any other, and I'm really proud that we could be doing an episode of this caliber. You know, as the elections near, the hot topic issue is immigration and whether or not we will increase our borders to keep certain people out. Well, who are these certain people? You know, and do we often at times think about what's the process they go through in order to come to our country? Or why? Why are they wanting to come? Because many times it's so easy just to say they're coming and stealing our jobs. But have you ever thought about it could be more than that? Like maybe they're receiving better healthcare here than in the countries that they were from. So in this next episode of Truth Moment, entitled Welcome to America, Press 2 for English, I have the wonderful Ana Agredano on my show. And I couldn't be more proud and excited and happy that Ana would join me because Ana is, she's Mexican and she has had to experience some of the backlash and even racism that her people experience. And I use that her people being lightly because I don't want us to get so caught up in the this people and that people because we're all people. You know, we just may have been born with a different country address than some of the others. So, Ana, welcome to Truth Moment.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
No problem. No problem. When I first approached you with this idea, with the show, what did you think about that? What were your thoughts?
I actually thought it was an excellent idea. It was an opportunity to give people the knowledge that they don't know behind a person.
Okay. And so when we engaged in the topic of conversation, you were saying that your family actually had a story with coming over here to America. So if you don't mind, would you please share that?
Oh, yes. Get traumatized on your way over to this country. Well, I was about 2 months.
Okay.
I was a baby when my parents decided to come to the U.S. to give us a better future than what they were able to give us in Mexico. We were poor, eating nothing really, beans, tortillas. That was it.
Okay.
There was nothing there. We didn't even have Pampers. We had to use cloths. My mom would have to wash them and reuse them. So it's a lot of little things that forced my parents to leave their families behind to provide us with more things. So I was about 2 months, and obviously I don't remember when we came over here for the first time, but my mom confirmed. My mom carried me in her arms the whole way. We're talking about 2-3 days walking.
Wow.
No water, no food. It was horrible. You see people even die of dehydration, or they drown in the rivers trying to swim through the rivers. You hear horrible stories. So I really feel like you get traumatized on your way over to this country. But once we were over here, we were lucky enough to already have an auntie that had a place. So we did have a place to stay, which other people don't have that opportunity that we did. Other people come into the country and have no clue where they're going to sleep, where they're going to eat, where to go. Your hands empty, pockets empty, no money. So we were lucky enough to have my auntie we stayed there.
Okay.
And we would sleep in the living room. No bed, no blankets, no pillows. Just myself, at the time my sister was 2 years old, my father and my mother. We would just sleep there. It was a struggle for my parents until my father was able to find a job. It's not that easy to find a job when you don't have a social security number.
Yeah.
You don't know the language. You don't know how to do resumes or how to apply, how to interview.
Yeah.
None of that. So it was extremely difficult for my father to find a job. Once he was finally able to, we rented an apartment out. And since you need a social to do that, lucky enough, again, we had an uncle that helped us sign our lease. So we couldn't afford living by ourselves. I remember my whole life having roommates. My whole life.
Wow.
They had to rent the living room. They had to rent the other rooms. I remember we were to a point where we were sleeping in the living room and they were renting out their rooms, the bedrooms. Just, to be able to pay the rent and to be able to buy some food. My mother and father would have to go looking for cans to sell or cardboard boxes to sell just to be able to buy us milk and Pampers and stuff like that. They're not citizens, so they can't apply for WIC. They can't apply for all the government help that there is out there. So they had to go through a very, very tough struggle. But you know what? I'm thankful they went through that because thanks to that, I'm here now.
Yeah. One thing that you said that I found to be very impactful is that you said a lot of people come, or your parents, because they wanted you all to have a future.
Right.
So it's so easy to say you come to this country for a better life,
Right.
but your parents thought beyond that. Like, okay, we can come here to live now, but our children will have a future as a result of that. And I want you to talk to our Truth Moment audience a little bit more about the actual process. And you said that, the journey, and tell me more about a coyote. Like what role does a coyote play?
A coyote is the person that you pay to help you cross the border.
Okay.
It's extremely expensive, and you have to know the right coyote, because some title themselves as coyotes and they just steal your money and leave you to die. So you have to actually know the person. They recommend them. So they charge, nowadays are charging about $5,000 to $6,000 a person. A person, and it's no guarantee.
Wow.
That you will come alive to this country. The process, you can be robbed, you can be raped, it can be horrible the process to come over here. It can be very horrific. Wow. People have no idea what they go through. You get robbed, a little money that you come, so you won't come with empty pockets, with no money. They take that away from them.
How many, I know it varies, but I guess typically could be in a group. How many people could be in a group led by one coyote?
Actually, it depends.
Okay.
It does depend on the coyote. You can be five people. You can be 10, a group of 15. You're slow, you get left behind. You can't walk anymore. Guess what? You got to hurry up because they're going to leave you. They will not wait for you.
Wow.
Yes. So imagine children or elderly people that can't walk for 2-3 days nonstop.
Wow. One thing, Truth Moment, I want to make you all mindful of. In this episode, Anna is not, this is a disclaimer. She's not saying she's the voice of the Hispanic people. I'm not asking her to be on for that. I'm asking her to share her experiences and what she knows to be true as far as what she and her family have experienced since they've been in this country. I just wanted to do that because I don't want anyone to, try to attack you and saying, well, that wasn't my experience. And it's not like that for all Hispanics. No, we're talking about Anna in this situation. And again, thank you for being so bold, in doing this, because, it's, like I said, it's a hot topic.
It is.
And so with that being said, Dad comes over and he's working and trying to provide a life so that you guys can have a future. And so how long, or what's the process to become a citizen, to get your citizenship here?
The process. Well, first of all, you have to be able to qualify to apply.
Okay.
There's certain qualifications you have to meet. So my dad was lucky enough, he was working on the farms. So at that time, the president had signed, I want to say, signed for people to be able to apply, whoever worked in the fields or, jobs like that. So my dad got very lucky at that time. He applied, and, it's not cheap. You have to pay for application, you have to pay for lawyer, all that. But once he was able to apply, he did.
Okay. Didn't
think about it twice, didn't doubt about doing it for the benefits and for his family, So once you apply, you have to go to an interview and get approved. Once he was approved, he submitted paperwork for us, myself, my sister, and my sister, my mother, of course. It was a long process. I would say 5 years or more, because he wasn't a U.S. citizen. He was just a resident.
Okay.
And I was about 9 years old when I became legal in this country.
Wow.
I was about 9. And when I was 17, my father became a citizen, a U.S. citizen. Wow. You have to apply again, pay the fees, go to your interview. You have to learn the language. You have to learn the U.S. history. You have to learn how to write it. So imagine having to learn a whole different everything. Really.
Okay, so you had to do all those things, or your father did. So for you, was it difficult for you seeing your father go through these things? And you were young when you came here, so when did you learn English?
I was lucky enough to enroll in Head Start, kindergarten, so I learned along with other children. Okay. Of course, Americans already speak English, so I had to learn a second language. Primary language at my home was Spanish, so it was difficult learning a completely new language. But like I said, I was lucky enough to go to Head Start, kindergarten, and graduated.
Did you help your father learn the language?
Yes. My father would always take me around to translate for him. And he would take him to translate, and he would ask me, how do you say this, or how do you say this? And he would ask me to correct him if he would say wrong. So I'm very proud of him. He speaks English now with an accent, but he's good.
That's good. That's good. So how difficult is it to maintain your culture? Because here you are having to move to a new country and learn a new language, and then you're expected to learn the history. So then you therefore, in a sense, have to take on this country. Mm-hmm. So how is it possible, or how is it not easy to, maintain your own culture?
My own culture. Well, it is difficult. I was raised Americanized, I can say, because I was raised in the U.S., but my parents always wanted us to go to Mexico at least once a year so we can know the Mexican culture and not forget our roots and, where we come from. So we would go every year to Mexico, and, the Mexican food and the ranch living style in Mexico, the language.
Okay.
So we wouldn't forget Spanish. Because, you get in your daily routine and you only speak English, and it's honestly possible to forget to speak Spanish. You
Okay.
forget the language.
Okay.
So that's what my parents didn't want for us. They wanted us to keep in mind our Mexican culture. And crazy enough, in California, the Hispanic population is so big that you can actually go to the grocery store and buy tortillas or buy certain brands of Hispanic products. In South Carolina, it's very difficult.
You have like a little section.
We have half an aisle.
Yeah.
Half an aisle, and it's so difficult to
Finding
find
what you need.
what
yeah.
you need. Yes, extremely difficult, but I've heard it's getting better, so.
Okay. Okay. And so your father and your mother still wanted you all to be able to embrace your culture. How difficult is that being in high school? Being in high school with other friends who may not look like you or may not talk like you. How difficult is it for a young child or teenager to not want to say, man, forget that. I want to be like my friends.
I would say that's individual.
Okay.
I did want to keep my culture and not forget where I come from. But there's others that don't. They, for example, don't like to speak Spanish or are embarrassed to speak Spanish.
Why do you think that is?
I have no idea. Maybe they're embarrassed of where they come from. Or they want to feel American.
Yeah. And what's your you're a mother and you have two beautiful children,
Yes.
Melanie and Leo. So what are your hopes for them as far as maintaining and keeping their culture?
First of all, I want them to be bilingual.
Okay.
I think it's so sad when teenagers or kids nowadays don't know their Spanish.
Yeah.
They don't. So that's one thing that's very important for me, for them to be bilingual. And I want them to not be embarrassed, for the color of their skin or where they come from, or I don't want them to be embarrassed at all. I want them to be proud and say, you know what, I'm here because of my grandparents, or, I honestly think it's important for them to know and to listen to our Mexican music and, to like, when we get together, our family gatherings and all the things that we do. But I really don't want them to forget where they come from.
Okay. With what your father had to go through and your mother coming to this country, what are you hoping that is different for Melanie with her? Because even though you were young, you still had to come here.
Right.
Your son and daughter were born here.
Right.
So what's your hope for them as far as that never having to have been an issue for them coming from one country to another? What's your hope as far as their future is concerned with that never being an issue for them?
Will never be an issue. Not to be making fun of at school because they know that they're not legal in this country. You can get bullied off of that.
How did people know that you weren't legal in this country when you were in school?
I would guess they assumed
Okay.
because of the color of my skin. And I automatically, she's Mexican. And you border hopper and you whip back and what are you doing here? And it can be hard.
How did you deal with that?
It was hard. I would cry. I would go home crying to my mother. And I remember saying, oh my God, why am I Mexican? And
What did mom say?
My mom, she's so supportive and loving. She would hug me and say, don't worry, you're fine. You have to be proud of who you are and you're going to be somebody one day. So don't let that get to you.
Okay, so now as an adult and you still have adult bullies that will make fun of your culture and your country. So how does it affect you now? Does it affect you the same?
It doesn't. It doesn't affect me because I'm proud of who I am and what I do. I'm proud of being bilingual because guess what? I know another language.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and
people call you to interpret.
Yes, they need me. Anna, can you come translate? That's right, you need me. But nowadays I still get looked at wrong for being Mexican. Grocery store people stare at you like, and I'm just like, what? I'm a U.S. citizen just like you.
Yeah.
You know, I'm an American.
Yeah. What you said just then resonated with me so much, because when you know who you are, people will be able to make you feel less of yourself less frequently or less efficiently. Because if I know who I am, if you're making fun of me being, of Mexican descent, but I'm proud of my heritage, that's not going to bother me. I'm actually going to look at you like, okay, what's your point? Like you said, right. I speak another language. So if you were to go somewhere else, someone who didn't speak another language, and it was only Spanish speaking individuals in the room, you're going to need me to tell you what they're saying. And I think another thing that we have to get out of Truth Moment audience is that there's this stereotype when you see someone who is Spanish speaking and they smile or they nod and they're not speaking the language back. It's so easy for you to say, oh, they're ignorant and they don't learn the language. First of all, it's difficult.
Right.
I'm working on my Spanish right now, being able to speak Spanish, and it's not easy. So I challenge you, if that's your hang up, just learn the language. Spend some time in another country and see how easy it is for you to adopt their language just like that. So sometimes smiling and nodding is a defense mechanism. I'm feeling uncomfortable because I don't know what you're saying. So I'm going to smile because I don't want my discomfort to show. So it's not that they're smiling or nodding to be ignorant or to not learn what you're saying. It's just that I don't want to show how uncomfortable I am right now. So I'm going to smile to show that I have pleasant thoughts or feelings towards you and the fact that I don't know what you're saying. Would you agree with that?
I do. It's not that easy to learn a completely new language.
Yeah, because there are different dialects.
Yes.
Different things mean different things. You have words with more than one meaning. All of that. That's really great. I'm glad you're in a place now where you can say that I was bullied for that, but now kind of like, it's more of a benefit.
Right.
For you speaking two languages.
It really is. And it's a blessing. Yeah. It really is a blessing to be able to help out the Hispanic community and, making sure they know the knowledge and the help that there is out there for them, and to help them, it's an amazing feeling. It really is.
As you know, Truth Moment is a mental health show. So what would you say are some of the difficulties or mental health issues that could come up from going from one country to another, or in your case, in specific, from Mexico here to America?
Well, actually, people get traumatized. Imagine seeing someone die next to you, or being raped or being robbed, and going through hunger and thirst, just not knowing if you're going to survive coming over to this country. I think you get traumatized, you get bullied. It's very important to seek help.
Okay. What about just some others? Depression. Anxiety, and also adjustment. Right. So you have an adjustment disorder that could come because in some cases there are parents who leave children behind.
Yes.
Why? Again, I'm not, asking you, of course, to speak for all Hispanics, but, you said you interpret at your job. So you've possibly been into cases, or you've heard about situations where moms come without their children. Why do you think that is?
Well, every situation is different, but I've come to know a couple of stories.
Okay.
The mom comes over here so the child can have shoes to wear, clothes to wear, to be able to eat.
Yeah.
Simply as that, to be able to have the school materials you need for school. You know, it's a lot of little things that we don't appreciate in this country and people struggle out there for. So the mom comes over here to work and be able to provide everything for them and maybe even pay for a private school for them to get an education. But it's a lot of reasons. Now imagine coming here to another country and leaving your child behind. God knows when you will ever see them again. If you even see them again.
Wow. So, is it something that is uncommon with seeking? Because I know you mentioned that it's important to seek therapy. Is that uncommon?
Very. Extremely. Most people don't even know what a therapist is or what they do. They have no clue. In my job, actually, they go and they say, oh, that's for crazy people. I don't need that. No, that's not what it is.
Thank you. Did y'all hear that? No. It doesn't matter what language. It doesn't matter what country you're from. I second what she said. Going to seek a therapist does not make you crazy. No. It's actually crazy to not go see one, right?
Yes, it is. But once I explain to them what they do and how important it is and, you know, give yourself time to, you know, really get to know yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's a place where it's very professional. You can let your deepest secrets out and feel some sort of release. And, you know, you can breathe after letting things out. And I just think it's very important for them, especially for all those people that get traumatized on their way over here or their situations.
Okay. Thank you. Anna, again, I could not thank you enough for the simple fact that even though you're not the voice of the Hispanic people, we say if you want to see change, then be that change.
Right.
So you coming on this episode means so much to me because we obviously see that there needs to be change in the amount of tolerance and cultural competency. And what that means is being able to understand that there are different cultures out there and being sensitive to that fact to where just because you're different doesn't mean you're wrong, doesn't mean you're bad. It just, you're different from me. So I need to educate myself better so that I know how to talk to you, so that I can make better attempts at understanding you. So my hopes in this episode is that Anna is bringing forth an awareness that we need to be more sensitive and tolerant to those cultures that are different from our own. Just because she wasn't born here like I am doesn't mean that she is less deserving of what this country has to offer. And I can appreciate you for that. I really can. And this episode has meant a lot to me, and I'm hoping that it means a lot to you and your family. Do you have anything else that you would like to say and turn right here and address our Truth Moment audience?
Yes, actually, don't judge a person by the color of their skin or their culture. Don't. You don't know the struggles they've been or they're still going through. Like everyone, we have issues. So just, you don't know what that person's going through. Just smile, you know. You don't speak their language, just wave, say hello. It's not that hard.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming on.
No problem.
Well, I'm Tiara Pritchett. This is Ana Agredano, and that's our truth. What's yours?